Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood. You're watching The Political Vigilante. I'm here with Ron Placone. So let's talk about this this bill that's coming up here that's pressing and what it means. It's in front of the Supreme Court, I believe. So why don't you tell everybody,
Yeah.
Ron, exactly what it is and what's important and what people can do to try to affect this.
So there's two really big pressing things going on in the digital rights world right now. And the first one that you mentioned. So the Supreme Court is going to take up two cases. We don't know all of the ins and outs of these cases. It does have to do with a very sensitive topic. It's people using social media to plan violent acts, basically, which a friendly reminder to everybody, inciting violence is not protected speech. Just so everyone knows. Like that's not like there's not a free speech thing going on here. Inciting violence is not protected speech. The kind of red flag going on here is, depending on how they rule, this could really blow a hole in what's known as Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Now, Section 230, there's a lot of people who kind of misrepresent what it actually is. What Section 230 is it's basically the piece of policy that preserves free speech online. More recently, people have called it the, quote, social media shield, which isn't entirely false. It is the legislation that shields social media companies from being held liable to what people post. There is some truth there. But Section 230 applies to everything on the internet. It applies to all users. It applies to you. It applies to me. It applies to personal websites. It applies to news articles. It applies to online classifieds. It applies to everything. So to say like, oh, it just applies to social media companies, no, it doesn't. It applies to everything, and it assures free speech online. So gutting Section 230 is not going to solve the problems we have with social media companies. It's going to make it worse. The better solution is to have new policy that meets the moment and is geared specifically towards social media companies without blowing a hole in a policy that's working. I mean, it's kind of like you could take the analogy of free speech. We have this idea of free speech, and it's a good thing. So when we needed to have other types of policies out there to meet the moment, we didn't end free speech. Instead, we had new policy that says, hey, free speech does not include defamation. If you defame somebody, that's against the law. You can't incite violence. That's against the law. That's what we did instead of just ending free speech. It's a similar like metaphor here, kind of, because it's like we shouldn't end 230. Instead, we should say, hey, social media juggernauts like Twitter and Facebook need to follow the free speech laws of the United States, or they need to have more transparency in the way they enact their terms and services. They can't have data collection, which I'm all for, better data privacy. So that's what's at stake here. So if the Supreme Court blows a hole in Section 230, we are all going to be so much more vulnerable online. You're never going to see what the next Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube is going to be, because Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube and Google are going to be juggernauts forever, because this is going to make sure no one can ever compete with them, because they're not going to have Section 230 protections. A small website's not going to be able to withstand a lawsuit. Facebook can. So that's what's at stake here. One thing people can do to start fighting back is you can go to a website called makedmssafe.com, which of course makedmsafe.com, but for ease of the URL, makedmssafe.com. That demands encryption of all of our messages across social media. Facebook shares private messages with police on a regular basis, usually to stop someone from obtaining abortion information in a post-Roe v. Wade society. So this is really important right now, because if they blow a hole in Section 230, all of a sudden, all of these platforms are really going to be on their toes, which means your messages are going to be even more vulnerable than they are now. So one of the ways we can fight back against what could potentially happen, because we're relying on the Supreme Court here. What are the chances that they're going to do something good? Mm-hmm. So makedmsafe.com.
All right, make DM safe, folks. It's something you can do. It's an action you can take, and it's something you can do right now, which is what we have to do. I mean, once again, it's just, it's a combination of just like, outdated legislation, and our leaders, most of them are way too old. They don't even understand this stuff. It's like listening to them talk about crypto.
Right.
And then also just the big tech corporations, I'm sure they've weighed in on how they can get more power and more money and more data collection, and use social media as just another electronic control and propaganda tool.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're in a moment where technology has passed up the law, and these, big tech juggernauts are pretty much doing whatever they want. I mean, the way they use your information, the things Amazon is trying to do, like they're going to start surveying inside people's homes because they just bought iRobot, which makes the Roombas. So like it's getting worse and worse as far as like data surveillance and what they're doing with your information to just give to advertisers to make knockoff products of their own thing. And we are in desperate need of some legislation reining this in. However, we have to be careful to make sure it's the right kind of policy and not policy that's going to make things worse.
Which it's so hard because they so want to make things worse.
Exactly. That's the American way, dude. They're just like, hey, we have a problem. We got some shitty policy that could fix this. Let's make this worse with a bad idea.
It's staggering how it's just a bad idea on top of an already horrible idea. Like, it's just like,
you just described the midterms. That's what everyone. Are you gonna vote for bad idea, bro? I mean, there's bad and staggering bad idea. Which one do you?
What you have to pick one of the bad ideas. You got to pick the lesser of bad ideas. That's the American way. That's the duopoly in function. Well, all right, dude. So tell everybody the website again.
MakeDMSafe.com, which the URL is just MakeDMSSafe.com.
Yeah, MakeDMSSafe.com, everybody. So go check that out. And Ron, what do you got cooking? Where else can people follow what you're doing?
We can go to ronplacone.com. I do have a couple 2023 tour dates announced already. I'm going to be in Tucson, Arizona, January 28th. And that's not just a stand-up show. That's also a screening of my short film Loner, which has not been screened to the public yet. So that's going to be the debut screening of that short film. Technically, it's a pilot, but I just say short film because that's so much easier to to just say. So you can get tickets for that now at ronplacone.com. Because it's all the way in January, there's a cool thing going on right now. If you use the promo code Lucy at checkout, you get a discount off your ticket price. So that's an early bird special. It's for a limited time. So go buy tickets now. When you're checking out, use the promo code Lucy and you get a discount. Grab it now while the discount's still up. That's at ronplacone.com. And I'll also be in San Diego, February 17th and 18th. More information on those shows also at my website, ronplacone.com.
Right on, folks. I will be in New York City this Tuesday, October 18th at the Broadway Comedy Club, Madison, Wisconsin, October 20th, Detroit, Michigan, October 21st, Cincinnati, Ohio, October 22nd, and Chicago, October 26th. Please come out to one of these shows, folks. I'm working on my new hour, which I'm going to tape at the Chicago show, October 26th. It's my first ever special. And I really wish you could all come out. So go to grahamelwood.com for tickets. I've also got billboards running in these cities. And if you see my billboard ad running anywhere, take a photo of it, tag me, and then I'll DM you in social media a discount coupon for the ticket. So check that out, everybody. And remember, make Gotham great again. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.